In our part of Missouri, it is pretty standard to have two cuttings of hay, a spring cutting and a fall cutting. Our spring cutting is always fantastic because the weather here in the spring is so mild and rainy. But over the last few years, our fall cuttings have been just terrible. Our summers have been so dry, really almost drought conditions. And because of that, our fall hay harvest has been about a quarter of that of the spring. This means that we have almost run out of hay in the winter.
But this year, we've decided to try something completely different. Hey everybody, welcome back to Living Traditions Homestead, where for the last 8 years, we've been building our dream life here in the Missouri Ozarks since we left corporate America and the big city. You can see our cows here behind us. We keep kind of a small herd of Hereford cows, Hereford mixed cows. We have about 15 mama cows, their calves, and our bull that live here on the homestead, and we practice rotational grazing. During the summer months, we have several large paddocks that we move them throughout the homestead so that we can keep the grass grazed and we can keep the land healthy. Normally, we keep them off of the hayfield during the summer months because we want our spring cutting to be very good, and we also want the grass to grow back during the summer so we can get a fall cutting. But over the last years, since that fall cutting has been diminishing, we've decided to try something different this year. And instead, we're going to let the cows actually graze in the hayfield for the remainder of the summer. But before we can do that, there are a couple projects we need to get finished so that they can move out into the hayfield and be healthy and happy. So the first thing that we need to do is mow a path for where our electric fence is going to run. This will serve two purposes. It'll make sure that the fence stays nice and strong because no grass will be touching the fence, but it'll also make sure that the cows stay where they're supposed to be. We want them to stay in the hayfield and not come up into our front yard by the house.
Now that the path is all clear, we can start installing our electric fencing. We are going to be using fiberglass poles that will be spaced about 20 feet apart. We're going to be installing 2 strands of braided wire, and we will be using a solar-powered energizer.
These solar energizers are very easy to set up. Once you have your fence run, all you need to do is install a grounding rod, and then it's just 2 clips, one that goes onto the grounding rod and one that goes onto the fence. Make sure your energizer is always pointing to the south so it gets the most sun possible and stays good and charged. You got burrs in your hair. In your hair. Get them out. Stop playing in the weeds. Now that the fence is complete, we need to make sure that the cows are going to have access to fresh water. So we set up a stock tank in the far corner of the hayfield that's connected to a frost-free hydrant.
We also grabbed their mineral block and we're setting it out right by the water stock tank so that anytime they go to drink, their minerals will be there. It will be really easy for them to remember where they can go and get their minerals.
Well, now that everything is set up for the cattle, it is time to open the gate and let them out into the hayfield.
They have been anxious to come through this gate, since, I don't know, the last couple days, and they've been mooing to move from one place to another. It's been a long time since they've been in here, so they should be pretty excited.
Are you guys ready? You guys excited? Come on, cows!
Come on, cows!
Come on, cows! Come on!
Come on, cows! Come on!
Come on! Well, I think this is going to be a really great thing, having the cows out here in the hayfield. Now, we may not have explained really well why we're doing this. It may seem on face value like, well, if you decided not to do a second cutting and you are already short on hay anyway, isn't this going to give you even less hay? And the truth is, yes, it is. It is going to give us less hay. But we really think that by moving the cattle out here, this will extend our grazing season. Again, this is about 22 acres out here. When we have this cut for hay, we have to give half of the hay away to the person who cuts it for us. That's the deal we have. We allow him to cut the hay. He gets half of it, we get half of it. And when we do that, then our cows only get half as much. So by moving them out here instead, they actually get to eat all of the grass that's out here.
Right now, all this hay is really like standing hay. It is not dry, it's full of nutrients, it's still standing rather than cut and baled. So we're excited. We think that them being out here is going to extend their grazing season. And by that time, actually, some of their other paddocks will be able to grow back, and we can rotate them on the other paddocks before we start having to feed the hay from first cutting.
Right. Yeah, I really think that these guys are going to be able to stay out here. Today is September 2nd. I think they'll be able to stay out here at least until the end of October, or at least that's my hope. We'll just have to come out and check on them often and see what the grass is looking like. Now, another reason that we're doing this, that we're really excited about, is that right now all of our grass out here is going to seed. If we were to do a second cutting of hay, all of that seed would be baled up with the hay, and we wouldn't get the benefit of reseeding the ground out here to some extent.
But right now, as the cattle are walking through, they're really breaking up those seed heads, and a lot of those seeds can go down onto the ground. The cattle will walk and kind of stomp it into place, and it's basically reseeding the hayfield. And also, we did a little bit of reading, and what we found out is that not all the seeds that pass through the cow will be ruined. Some of them will come out the other end and still be viable. So they will be producing manure, and the seeds will still drop and help reseed this hayfield.
So all in all, we really feel like this is the best thing to be doing, not only for our cattle for this year, because they will get the benefit of extra grazing time, but it's also a really good thing to be doing for our land. We try to be good stewards of the land here. We try to, keep the cows moving as often as we can, and really try to just, rotate them through. And I think that this makes a lot of sense to put them out here instead of baling this hay.
We're really excited to see how this new approach for us is going to work out. We know it's going to be great for the cows and for their health, and it's going to be fantastic for the land.
Well, we hope you guys had a good time spending some time with us today, setting up a new fence and just moving the cattle out here so that they can graze this ground. If you're enjoying videos like this, we hope that you'll hit that subscribe button. If you've been a long-term subscriber, I ask that you just check your subscription and make sure that that subscribe button is still pushed, because some people have been experiencing being unsubscribed from the channel. Also, make sure the notification bell is hit so that you get notified every time we put out a new video.
You guys remember that the best way you can help us here on the homestead is just to share our videos on your social media. Until next time, thank you so much for stopping by our homestead. Take care and God bless.
God bless.